everybody. Welcome to the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report, where we are shifting gears for a series called Communion and Connectedness, as we talk with people that are directly involved in the issues ongoing in Israel since October 7th, particularly with our Jewish brothers and sisters. And today we have Yakir Englander, who is the Senior Director of the IAC, which is the Israeli American Council. And he is Israeli, but lives in the United States now and has been intimately involved with issues regarding Israelis and the Jewish people worldwide. And since October 7th, of course, his work, just like ours, has become far more intense and focused. And our goal is to continue building the bridges between the Christian and Jewish community. And we are excited that Yakir is able to help us in that construction. We also have, of course, Shelley Neese, our president, because we both are just very focused on making sure that the voices of our Jewish brothers and sisters are heard, and that we know from them what we should be praying for and doing to stand with them and beside them in these troubled times. Yakir, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the IAC and the goals for the future. And we'll be bouncing questions back and forth with you. And we just really want to know what you need us to know.
So first of all, shalom, Amy and Shelley. Thank you so much for having me. A little bit background about myself. I grew up in Israel, as you can hear probably from my accent. I grew up in a very religious, ultra-Orthodox, or for some of your audience, if you know the Hasidim, so I grew up among them. And when I was 22, I was on a journey, like many of us, and I wanted to find new ways to be connected to the divine. I'm still trying to find better ways and to be more connected to the sacredness of life. And I decided to have the courage and to go outside from my community to a journey. I didn't know where it will take me. And one of the things that we need to know, that every audience need to know about Israel, which is very unique and different, I think, than the United States, is that every Israeli need to serve in the military, in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, which is interesting name, Defense Force, for 3 years. And I did the same. The ultra-Orthodox do not serve, but when I decided to leave the community, I was drafted. And it was a terrible time in Israel. It was the second Intifada, which is the second Palestinian uprising. Horrible years for Israelis and both for Palestinians. And I had the unique gift to work with special unit of identifying the dead bodies. Now, it's very complex work. And anyone who is now connected to Israel, I think this unit became very famous because they needed, unfortunately, to identify 1,400 people who were massacred in one day. And we don't speak about, like, I don't want to go graphic, and I want to really protect the mental health of our audience. So I will be very gentle, but I will need to say that what they saw are things that only in ISIS we saw such things. It's memories and a sight that bring us back to the Holocaust. And this is our 9/11. It's brutality in ways that we never experience, and I don't want anyone to experience. So it's not only killing, it's like hurting, is like making sure that anyone who will watch what happened will know not to mess with them. And they hurt any image of the divine. And we speak about how they kill them, what they did to them before they killed them, before they murdered them, what they did specifically to women, that we know that women during war, there is unique abuse from around sexuality, what they did to elders, to kids. So the stories are so hard. So in the past months, of course, I'm in contact all the time with my unit in the military and with a unique group of people which called Zaka, that they are the people who volunteer to go and take care, to do the sacredness work of taking care on the bodies. And in addition to that, the Israeli army asked our unit and Zaka, these volunteers, to also take care about the bodies of the terrorists who did it. Just imagine how hard the work is. So I'm also connected with them around the mental health to make sure that they have the support that they need. It's very complex. I will go back to my story. I did after that, as a result of what I saw during my military service, I joined an incredible Christian theologian, and this was the beginning of my dating life with Christianity that continue until today. I have so much richness and connection to my brothers and sisters from the Christian tradition. So with Dr. Henry R. Kars, who founded Kids for Peace, which is a unique youth group of kids that the parents who are living inside Jerusalem, it's a divided Jerusalem that many of you visited, they choose to give different hope and future for the kids. And together, they live together, the Israelis and Palestinians, Christian, Jewish, and Muslim kids, and they work towards dignity. So I did it for 14 years until I decided that I deserve also to heal. And any peace activist, and this is for the young generation who want to become peace activists, one of the things we need to know is that if you want to do the sacred work, you need, first of all, to take care on yourself. So I decided to heal my post-trauma. I moved to America, and in a month, I'm going to become a father. But so I'm so lucky. But as you know, and we will come to details, I'm working in the past 6 years with the IAC. So something fascinating that's happening is that today in America, we have around 600, 700,000 Israelis who choose to make America as their second home. And for their kids, it's their first home. And I'm working with them how to make sure that we have a strong community in every city where we are, and also from coast to coast in the United States, and to make sure that the community get what they need. So in the past months, for sure, I mean, Shelley, we are all 24/7 involved in the war in Israel with Gaza. And we are together with our Jewish American communities, and so many of you, and this is a time to say thank you, we are all involved, right, to heal and to build and to support Israel and to support humanity in many ways.
Exactly.
I can't imagine how your email inbox and communications changed from October 6th to October 7th, and just how you were coordinating with the other directors. But what would a normal day look like for the IAC versus how you've adjusted? It's a crisis, right? So everyone's adjusted to the crisis.
So something, Shelley, and I think you said it so well, it's a crisis, but I think it's also theological crisis, because the Hamas who did this horrible massacre, and remember, we still have 242 people who are hostages inside Gaza with no knowledge. No one knows what's happening with them. They choose very well when to do it. So a little bit history, a moment of history with Israel. In 1973, exactly 50 years ago, on the holy days of the Jewish calendar, which called Yom Kippur, the day when we are reflecting on our year, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel, and it was a very hard war. 50 years later, and in 7 days, on the unique holy day of Simchat Torah of Sukkot, which means that it's a holy day where Jews go outside to nature in order to do two things. One is to remember how much nature is part of the work of the divine. And the second is we go out to nature from our home and we stay in nature for 7 days in Sukkah, which is it's a house which is not a house. It's kind of a tent, to remember that not everyone have a house. It's a reminder that people still suffer. People still in shelters. People still don't have homes. And this is our responsibility toward the other. On that holy day, the Hamas attacked Israel, specifically because it knew that we are praying and we're celebrating in nature. They went into a nature party where thousands of Israelis are celebrating the relationship with nature, and they just killed everyone and abused the bodies and the people. So if you think about my life, like on that week, this was for the Israeli American a beautiful week of celebration. All the kids were in nature. Every city, like kids who are Israeli American and American Jews, they all are in the middle of the most fun, family-oriented week. And then we wake up and we were sure that something was wrong with our TV and radio stations. And then unfortunately, we learned that it was not. So if on normal time, my work is to build the community and to make sure that us as immigrants, we have safe around anti-Semitism. We have vibrant around helping. The Israelis American, as you know because you visited Israel, we love action, we love to do. So the amount of charity that our community is doing with the homeless, with anyone in the community who need, we are there. We are first of all for the other. And then unfortunately, in the past months, we are 24/7 working. Each one of us has responsibility. I will give you a few examples. Unfortunately, the Israeli army in some ways was not ready. In some ways, a lot of equipment was missing. The American Jewish Federations, together with the IAC, and together with many of you, and I'm here to say, first of all, Amy and Shelley, thank you for our brothers and sisters from the Christian tradition. You're helping. It's unbelievable. I cannot tell you how much Israel owe you. Toda rabba. We say thank you for your help. We were sending a lot of equipment to the military, a lot of equipment to the south of Israel. You need to understand, just imagine that for half a day, Brooklyn will be under ISIS. Imagine what will happen. This is like, if you take Israel, this is what happened. We have many little kibbutz, moshavim, like villages, that were for over half a day in the hands of Hamas, of ISIS. So imagine ISIS inside Brooklyn. What will happen? We need to rebuild these places. We need mentally, there are incredible holy groups who are working around women who were sexual abuse, and now we try to heal with them the trauma. We have children, they don't have language to understand what happened to them. Mm-hmm. So the Israeli American are now 100% around Israel. And now I need to shift. Something very unhealthy is happening in America. And this is something that I think we need now to unite. And I want to invite anyone who listened to that to join the IAC. You can find us and the Israeli American Council. Something unhealthy is happening in America. We see rising of anti-Semitism. And I want also to say an Islamophobia. It's very important. And we are now on the front of fighting that. There is something unhealthy that's happening inside the academy. It's like people, we can go to details and I can explain why it's happening. And since I was a scholar and I was teaching at Northwestern and at Harvard, I can share from my personal background. It's like something happened with the academy that instead of teaching science and objectivity, it became a place for ideology. And I think when people think about life from theoretical point of view and not seeing the people, there are people there something very unhealthy is happening today in the academy, and we need to fight against that. We have students, Jewish students, Israeli American students, Christian students who care about Israel, and they feel unsafe on their campus. You are paying thousands of dollars to send our beloved kids, 18 years old. They don't have yet the mechanism to defend themselves. They don't have the maturity yet. We send them with so much love, right, to the campus, and they come back, and now they cannot, and they're afraid to walk. Because professors celebrating, some professors, of course, not everyone, celebrating and saying horrible things to support the Hamas, or to support, it's not to support Palestinians. This is very important.
I agree.
To support Hamas. And our students, and which are our children, they do not always have the right words and the right mentality and maturity to stand towards the professors. And the university, instead of stepping and saying this will not happen on our campus, for some reason there is a silence. And our role as people of faith who care about every human being, believe me, and we can go to details on that, we care about every human being that God created. This is our role, to step forward and to say, Hineni, here I am to take care of you.
Wow. I mean, it's beautiful, that perspective that you come with this work, because it's in the face of an evil that we're trying to separate out the human factor of it versus that ideological factor. And to your point, we have been trying really hard since the 7th to lobby, for example, universities to really step up and protect all of their students, not just from the violence and the hostility that Jewish students are feeling and those that support them, but just the fact that the indoctrination of any naive and ill-equipped, only because of their age, student, to just fall into that hole of a false narrative about what Israel is or Judaism is. And we appreciate that perspective, because we also agree that the Palestinian people suffer, the Arabs in the region suffer, and it is because of their own leadership, right? The terrorist leadership. And I think every Israeli would agree that they just want to live in peace and work with and beside all of their neighbors. So what is the IAC engaging in, or what are the initiatives right now to make sure that messaging is crossing into the Christian community, and that we are becoming aware of these beyond just sort of the news headlines, right? But the human factor behind it, the individual stories, so that we can not just continue to pray, but continue to pray specifically, as well as offer additional resources. For example, I was at your IAC event in DC, in Rockville, Maryland, about a week and a half ago, with one of the survivors of the Nova Tribe Music Festival. She's very moving. But one of the other things that was spoken about is this Amazon wish list of IDF approved or ready or compliant equipment that several plane loads a day of equipment are getting shipped over to the Israelis. Can you expand on some of those initiatives and for example, getting speakers into churches or other community groups so that they can meet with folks that have personal knowledge and experience with what's going on?
Wow, Amy, thank you so much for this question. And I want to divide it to 3 parts.
Sure.
The first part is the first months, then what we are doing now, and I want to also say something about the future. So you are right that in the first months, what we needed was, first of all, to support Israel, to make sure that the military and the citizens who suffered, they have what they need. And so much money was sent, so much equipment was sent to Israel. And thank you so much for anyone who was helping. It means a lot. the second thing is, what do we need to do now? And I want to speak about a few options. And of course, please, anyone who want after that to connect, I really hope, Amy, you can put my email, you can put
Great.
anything, and please, 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 I would love that our team will work 24/7 just to reply to you. And we're doing really holy work. So a few things. The first of all, and I really want to make sure that anyone who understand that, we deeply believe in prayers. There are now thousands of Israelis who are praying, of Jews who are praying, and Christians who are praying. And I want to say thank you for your prayers, and I want to ask you, please keep praying. We believe in prayer. Prayer is a light of the hope. People without hope are people who cannot dream about a better future. There are now 242 hostages. Imagine, and now that the Hamas, the new ISIS, what they did is that they took anyone as hostages. They took people over 80, and they took kids who are 1 month being hostages. Just imagine what's happening now to kids who are in Gaza. They don't have the mental capacity even to capture that. Think about if it was your brother, your child, like how you will react. And I think, first of all, prayers are things that we believe in this protection. However, we need to do much more. You can join. There are a few groups that are supporting the hostages to make sure that the world care. The Red Cross didn't see yet the people who are in Gaza. I'm begging them, don't follow what you did in 1940s with the Jews in Europe. We don't want to go there. This is our responsibility as human beings, and for sure for the Jewish community, that we have history as a one who unfortunately many times were attacked. We cannot take out this multi-generational trauma. Please do anything not to repeat the history. And what we need from you, our Christian brothers and sisters, is to step forward and to say never again. We will not let Jews to be again killed, murdered, being hostages, and the world will just continue. We will not do it. The beauty of the Jewish tradition, and I want you to understand that we take our catastrophe that happened in our history and we use it when we feel back safe, to use it as a tool to do good in the world. This is our responsibility. My grandparents were in Auschwitz. My grandma was forced to look when the Nazis hanged and killed her parents. Her first child, in the day when he was born, he was murdered by the Nazis. What she did with that was not to revenge. What she did with that to tell me, Yakir, your responsibility is that anyone who suffer, go and hug them, go and support them. This is what we do with our trauma. But now we need you, our fellows, our believers, to go and step forward and to say, we will not let this continue to happen to the Jewish people. Mm-hmm. And this is beyond politics. Mm-hmm. And my fear is that if we will not do it with the Israelis now, it will attack you here. We don't want to come close to that. So it's a work of all of us. So this is the second thing. We need to step, and there are organization, you can find them online, that support the people who are now in Gaza, and please, let's make it, or join the IAC. Anywhere you go, it's great. And you can donate. We need money for that. We need, not because we want the money, but because we need to bring the journalism, we need to bring the videos, we need to make them that the world will understand. Yes. And the third thing, and I think this is every church now can do, connect with us, and we are going to arrange that an Israeli American will come to your church. And I want to explain why. One of the things that we are learning is how much it's important to listen to the people who suffer from trauma for two reasons. One, because when you listen to them, you do not read a book. You don't listen to the pastor who tell you about. You meet the human being who suffer. And I think to bring now someone, an Israeli American, to your church, to listen to the stories, you will feel this sacredness, and it will help you to decide where you want to be. What do you want to do? But there is a second reason why I want you to invite Israeli Americans. In trauma studies, we know that the way to heal trauma, if someone was unfortunately raped, or someone was in a horrible other incident, one of the best way to heal trauma is to gather as a community and to hold the trauma together. There is something about the community that make the process of the healing. And I want you to help us to heal. So let's put these seeds of relationship between us, and we will start to know and work together around healing. And the third thing is step forward and speak up. Yes, it's not easy, and I don't want anyone to do it if you do not feel safe. This is very important for me. If someone doesn't feel safe, pray. It's amazing. But if you feel comfortable to speak up, we have an incredible team that called Activism in the IAC. We are publishing professors, for example, who are saying horrible things, anti-Semitic things, and in a very easy way you can support us, and we can work together to bring more peaceful life to the world. And this is my wish. And for the future, I really hope, and this is also our work, let's put more and more seeds of relationship between the Christian tradition and the Jewish tradition. There is so much healing that we can do. And we are now in generation that we live together. For so many years, so many generations, my grandparents in Europe, even if they wish to have Christian friends, no one will let them. In America, we are blessed that we live together. We can really create healing from historical perspective. We can heal the trauma of our grandparents and the traumas that we all hold, and we can heal together. The beauty, I will end by saying, from a personal perspective, I will not be Yakir as I am today without the Christian faith. I seriously learned so much from you. I would never love my wife and my friends in the same way if I didn't have the gift to learn from so many pastors, so many reverends and priests and nuns. So I want to invite each one of us to learn from the other, because it makes us better humans.
Wow, Yakir, that's absolutely beautiful. And I think all your points, we have to take them to heart, and we have to act. And to go back to your first point about prayers, Shelley, I don't know if you want to, Yakir, you probably already know about this, but we want to make sure our audience knows we have an upcoming weekend of prayer, November 17th from sundown, Shabbat starting on the 17th through Sunday the 19th.
Which is the first time Jews and Christians have declared a weekend of prayer. They have Saturday, we have Sunday. And so we're committed to, and we've even been sharing prayers between the communities to guide for liturgical Christians, or obviously, trying to translate the Hebrews for the prayers for the IDF. So it's been an interesting process, right, Amy? And just bringing these two communities through the gift of prayer. And I know you've spent a lot of time here with Christians. And one thing is that for Christians, it's really important to love sacrificially. It's part of our theology. And so that's what I would encourage people to do too, is just to take steps that feel sacrificial, because it's the way that we can uniquely love the Jewish people.
It's so beautiful. And I want to suggest one more thing. I would suggest that each church will choose to tell one story.
Mhm.
There is something about stories that it go beyond theory. It become very, it's like Yakir now speak with Amy and Shelley. We see the face, and there is something, we see the image of God in each other. So let's tell the stories so we feel what does it mean to be now in Israel, and what's the stories of the people that unfortunately their life was murdered.
Every
And-
person is the universe, that's for sure.
Amen.
Exactly. And Yakir, what is your perspective right now about going forward? I mean, in the short term, of course, we need to continue any material support. I don't even think that's a short term. We don't know how long the actual conflict will remain, and continue to prayer and continue to get connected with individuals, speakers at churches, Bible studies, schools. Do you have any vision beyond that, or should we just hunker down and stay focused on the here and now and the immediate future?
Thank you so much. And I will be very, I will be sensitive around it, because when you are during a war, it's really hard to see the day after.
Mhm.
And we know that, I don't know if people know, but next Tuesday, the 14th, we're going to have a march in DC. So anyone who is in the East Coast, who can come to DC, it's going to be an incredible, so many times when I read history, I'm asking myself, like, oh, how much I wish to be with MLK when he was marched, to be together with MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. and Rabbi Heschel walking together. It's like, what I will do for that. I want to be there next week, because history is going to talk about that. So I want to invite anyone to go there. I think, Amy, and thank you for the question. The healing of a war is not going to be when ceasefire will come.
Mhm.
The healing of war will be when both Palestinians, and I deeply care about the Palestinians too. This is not a war against Palestinians. It's very important to understand that. We deeply care about the Palestinians. There is no Israeli, I never met this Israeli who is like happy that kids are now killed in Gaza. And sometimes I think in American media, this can be that the vision that is like, Israelis, we like now to kill children in Gaza. I can tell you stories about soldiers who lost their life in this war because the Hamas use human shield, like they use children, and the officer said, we do not shoot. Yes, there are kids who are now dead, unfortunately, that like these are images of God who are dying in Gaza, but there is a war. And one of the unique things about the Israeli army, there is a reason why we call the defense army. We do not there for attack, but we have the ethical code of the IDF, of the Israeli army. And like, we really try and we do everything we can to protect that. Unfortunately, and I go back to you, Amy, the day after, we will have so much trauma to heal on the Israeli side, on the American Jewish side, of students who will say, like, what happened? How come that for over a month I was not safe? Can I trust now the university? It's not easy answer. So there is so much work that we need to do. And anyone who wants to step forward and to join in the way that will fit them, I really invite you to do it with many organizations, or come to us and we will help you to find the way that will fit you. And thank you for you, Shelley and Amy. I mean, you are doing seriously sacred work. So I don't have enough word to thank you for that.
Yakir, we thank you, and we will be sharing, as this goes to publication, we will include your contact information at the IAC website. I will provide lists of links for organizations that are supporting the safety and retrieval of the hostages. Of course, we will share the exact information for the rally although this may air the day after the rally, but we have that on our social media. And of course, the unity, the unison of prayer for the weekend of the 14th. But to just understand, we want our audience and to understand and to convey to the Jewish community that we are in this for the long haul. This is an endurance. And as the road turns and the situations shift, we will be agile to meet the needs that crop up, specifically the post-traumatic stress that civilians are going to deal with, IDF service members will deal with, families and friends stateside or in other places that I have to deal with. It seems like the world just shrunk into this tiny family now, that everybody's just one step away from a direct connectedness to the trauma. And that is why we agree with you and are going to double down our efforts to make sure that the speakers get into the churches to ensure that message is, and that connectedness is made, that human factor is made.
Yeah,
Shelley?
I will end and I will say, Shelley and Amy, that when now we start putting the seeds for the coming Hanukkah and Christmas, just imagine how much light we will need to bring to the world in this coming Christmas and Hanukkah. So we will be here to do the holy work.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Shelley, what is our new ending for our time with our guests?
Israel Chai.
Israel Chai. The people of Israel live.
Yeah, and that any human being will find the shelter by the divine, to feel safe and to be blessed. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Yakir.